So we've been having a community member go after each of our students. And today, I'm really excited about this one. This is Beth Gillman, who does so much for our community. I check your COVID dashboard update every day. So informed on everything going on in the community. So she's a parent to the students here, and she's just such an active member of everything we do in Portland. So I'm very grateful. She didn't volunteer, I kind of asked you, but agreed to come in to talk to us today. So her talk is called Life Isn't Fair, Don't Quit, Adapt. Please welcome Beth Gillman.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I'm going to do a little name dropping here. Harry Styles, that girl Charlie from TikTok, just kidding, Pat Atkins, John F. Kennedy Jr., Mayor Mike Snyder, Princess Di, Barack Obama, Martin Luther King Jr. What do they all have in common? They're all outstanding leaders. Locally, nationally, I want you all to think about the word leader and what that means to you. What defines a leader? Who decides who a leader is? How do people become leaders? And what do leaders have in common? There are many books and studies about leadership. You can spend hours, weeks, days. You can designate a whole degree into leadership. But there's one word that stands out to me the most, and that's resilience. The ability to adapt and keep going when times are tough. I think here in Port Clinton we call it grit. I grew up with a lot of resilient leaders around me. My father served as a state representative. He was in both the Army and the Marines. He's even in the Veterans Hall of Fame. He has a long list of accomplishments, but if you met him, you would just know him as Marty Galvin, and that's how most of the community remembers him. My mom, Chris Galvin, was the director of United Way for over 25 years. She was dedicated her life personally and professionally to serving the community. But everybody, again, that knows her, knew her as Chris. My parents' fancy titles and their accomplishments didn't make them leaders. It was the things they did to earn it. It's how they impacted the lives of those around them, the people they talked to every day. I still, to this day, get text messages, calls, Facebook messages, people that my parents have touched in their lives. My dad, of all the things he did, he was most proud of helping people become sober. He was in addiction services, and people will tell me how he saved their lives. People will tell me about my mom and how she encouraged them to pursue their dreams and their passions, and what a difference that made. She gave them the hope and the courage. It was my mom's leadership and influence that made me say yes. Yes to stepping up and serving on Port Clinton City Council in 2014. The current councilman stepped down from Ward 1, and I was asked to do it. And I had no experience in political office, didn't really know what I was getting into, but I had nothing to lose, so I said yes. And that led me to 2016. In 2016, I had to run for that seat, and it was opposed, and I won. I won my board position. Again, in 2020, this past year, I was asked to lead and serve in a county position. I ran for Ottawa County Recorder. I didn't win that position, but it wasn't the end of the world. Life will go on, and I learned a lot from running a campaign, from not letting a seat be won unopposed. In 2021, I'm going to step up again and try to run and win my seat for City Council again in Ward 1, and I hope everything that I've done in the community, my leadership skills, what the city's doing, how it's moving forward with the mayor and the other councilmen, I hope that lets me win the seat again. Running for office, or really anything that you do in life, there's a few things that'll help you over and over again. And Mason touched on some of those. There's a couple things I tell my children, and they've heard me say it. Number one, it's none of your business what other people think about you. And that seems so simple, but in the world of social media, people will tweet about you, they'll say something, they'll do a funny post, maybe it hurts your feelings. Don't look at it. It's not your business what they're saying about you. You know who you are. If you're not part of the problem, or if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. You always have a chance to be part of a solution. You know, we see that now in so many things in daily life. You can always choose to solve a problem, have empathy, truly think of other people, not just yourself. Put yourself in their shoes. Have as much confidence as you do humility. You know, my parents had long, long lists of accomplishments. That wasn't who they were. They were humble people. Consider the source of anything, gossip, facts, whatever it may be, always consider the source. Don't get bent out of shape easily when you hear or see things. And number 6, adapt. And I really like that Mason touched on that, because adapt is so big everywhere in your life. And to me, adapt stands for always do another positive thing. You can always change, and when you change, you have choices. Make sure it's a positive choice. Just try to keep that in the back of your mind. I have faced a lot of diversity in my life. I'll start back to, let me go back to 2001. Some of you probably weren't even born yet, I know, because my daughter who graduated last year was just born in 2001. The picture I have up here is some diamonds, some colored gems, things you might recognize. In 2001, in the wake of 9/11, which was, in my lifetime, that was the worst tragedy that ever happened on American soil. We didn't have a pandemic, we didn't have wars, we had 9/11 attacks. And I launched a business that year. I launched a business that employed me for nearly 20 years. I got to hold carats of colored diamonds in my hands. I got to play with gold and jewelry and travel all over. And it was really exciting and I loved it. It helped me work from home. Some of my jewelry was on shows you might know, The Office TV show, some of you have heard of, soap operas, celebrities. A lot of people wore the jewelry that we made. And that was fulfilling on a personal level. People in the community didn't know what I did, but it didn't matter. I really enjoyed my job. There was a celebrity named J-Lo, she's still around. Something that she wore, our jewelry was inspired by, and we were in international press, in magazines, publications. I loved my work. I put 20 plus hours a week into it. I was always busy, and I always had purpose. I got to work from home and be with my kids before we had to work from home by quarantine or mandate. I helped a man design a piece that made a difference in his world and the world around his wife. She had been attacked violently in a car leaving work one day, not anywhere around here. And we made a piece for her because as a survivor, she was going to speak in public, facing her fears, facing what happened to her, sharing her story so that others could benefit and have courage to live their lives. In 2016, that all changed, and I have a chart up there. I know in school you guys do charts and math, and it's never any fun. Some of the stuff you learn has real life applications here. You know, I used algebra every single day of my life when I was working in this business. 2016 to 2020, the jewelry import changed. The chart was a straight downhill slope. So we got out of the business, we closed it. Pretty much overnight, everything changed. My demographic shifted, and that was just the way it was, the nature of business. And you know, I thought my life, my job, my livelihood was ending, but that wasn't the end of the world. I've been able to adapt and overcome. It was hard, it was difficult, but now I do something else. I love it just as much, and life does go on. Right now, I'm looking at the room and I see all of you, and you know, with COVID, we're socially distanced space. It's not a packed auditorium, but every single one of you is full of potential. And you may not know what that is, but the potential to give time, talent, or treasure. And when you get out of high school, you'll hear that. And I know you guys have community service projects, and they ask you to donate your time, help somebody out. And you know, it may just be a checklist on a sheet. You gotta get your hours in before you graduate. That is gearing you for a lifetime of potential service, helping others, reaching out. Whether or not you have a career where you have money to give and support an organization that way, or you have a social media, I have Facebook because old people have Facebook. So if somebody shares something, I can share that post. It's sharing my time to share what they need. And that's something little each of you can do. Your life, your family, and your community will thrive when you do, when you always do another positive thing. So, and Mason was inspiring in his talk, but I'm going to challenge all of you. I want you between now and the end of the year, a short period of time, just find some way you can do something positive to contribute in your own lives, whether it's reading an extra 10 pages of a book a day, maybe doing your homework before it's due. Just always do something that makes you a better person, better leader. You all know this, you hear it from E plus R equals O. You're very blessed to be exposed to that in the school system. And I thank you all for being here, and I just want you all to know that no matter what happens in your world, something better is always coming along, and as long as you can adapt, it'll be all right. So, thank you, Mr. Muller. And I want to say, you've all survived a pandemic, so you are well above the rest of us in this world.
Okay, you okay with some questions?
Sure.
Okay, so does anyone have a question? Mason, go ahead.
What was what? The best thing for the community? Oh gosh, well right now there's a big project for the community that'll help us all in several years down the road. I mean, it's hard to say the best thing, but some of the things for City Council we've done as far as infrastructure and changes that help the entire city. We have a new cityscape which started years ago, which I wasn't part of the original plan of that, but we've seen it come to fruition. That has made a big impact locally on our downtown, which impacts everywhere. There's so many different things. I'm involved in Bistro 163. That's a fabulous organization. All you guys can volunteer. They serve meals. They did nearly 600 on Thanksgiving. They're doing a Christmas meal that battles food insecurity, which is huge in the community. I mean, there's just a lot of, you can't really say the best because it depends what you're looking for. I know I didn't really answer your question.
That's great. Okay, any other questions? I have one. So, you know, you're more invested in the community than most people. I mean, that's a fact. You know, these are the most people in this auditorium right now are high school kids, and they you always hear this in every place. You know, can't wait to get out of this town, all those kind of things. And you know, it's great for me to hear you because you know I moved back here 4 years ago after seeing the world and being in different places. What makes our community special? And how can these kids, be involved? Because I think we're heading in a great direction.
Yes, community. I also left. I went to college, came back, and started a family here in Port Clinton. And I was asked by classmates, "Why did you go back to Port Clinton? You could have gone anywhere." I had an internship offer in New York City. It was fabulous. Why Port Clinton? The community here, in the sense of community, is like no other place in the world. When something bad happens, we come together, we pull together. You can walk outside at night and feel safe. There's a lot of support. We have a lot of organizations. Most of it's information. If somebody needs help, there's someone that can help you, whether it's financially, from a business standpoint. Our OCIC, there's a big business coming into Port Clinton to provide jobs. Now, that's a lot of collaboration on a county level, a local level. And something I see here in Ottawa County you don't see in other places, and you'll hear it when you go outside the county and you're on different boards. We collaborate together. The stuff the schools do is phenomenal. We have, talking to teachers in different districts, we have a fantastic school system. And you guys won't know it now, but when you get older and you have children, you realize, wow, you were really lucky to go through this system, to have this kind of in touch with your teachers. You can't really create community. It comes from a sense of pride, the people that live here and love it here and what they do, and the projects you see. A lot of the events you see around town, which this year we didn't have a whole lot, but the festivals, the parades, we just had Santa go through town. I don't know if you guys saw Santa. That's all community fueled. That happens from people that care, and a lot of places you just don't see that. So when you guys leave and come back, you can think, I want to come back and make my community better. I want to live there. I want to work there. There's a lot of jobs in the area. You can start your own job. There's just so much potential, and I think having that potential and people that act on it is what makes Port Clinton special. And we have a lot of ideas, but people actually bring them to fruition.
Very cool. Okay, any other questions? I don't see any hands. Okay, listen, on a scale of 1 to 10, how awesome is your mom?
She's gonna give me a 0. Don't even ask.
Yeah, this is Beth's daughter, Lisa, who gave a red tub last year. She graduated last year. So give it up one more time, Beth Gillman. Thank you so much.